Hi, the last topic we discussed about how the mind functions and the ego is made. We will discuss more about ego. Like in previous chapters, we discussed that the body needs food as well as mind also needs food. The mind's food is memories, and the mind basic function is attachment. Same way, ego needs a food too. Ego needs a food. What kind of food ego needs? Ego needs attention. Attention from outside world. That means attention from others. This is the food for the ego. The more the attention you get, the more the egoic mind develops. So more the food, more the ego. And what is the function of the ego? Like function of the body is to work through senses. Function of the mind is attachment, attaching whatever in contact with the mind. And what is the function of the ego is to develop more ego, to develop more attention from the others, and protect its ego. This is the function of the ego. So ego is a cause of development of a world, and it is at the same time it can be a cause of destruction of the world too, because let's discuss in detail. I will give some examples. For example, when child is born, the child does not have any outside knowledge. It has no its conscious. Child is born with self, born with only one thing child has is its own self, but child has no knowledge of itself. When it's born, it get hungry, so child start crying, and child gets food from the mother, and mother say, oh my cutie baby. So child start getting right away with the birth attention from the mother. So child start thinking that I am a cute, she is my mother, she is my brother, she is my sister, he is my brother. So child start getting attention from others, and through that attention, identification from the others, child start thinking that this is how I am, this is how I am. When child goes to the school, then teacher say, oh, you are good, you are bad, whatever. Bad or good, both is an attention, and the both is reflecting the child personality. So child, whatever gain from the outside world, start thinking about, okay, I am a good, I am intelligent, I am a loser, I am not a good student, I am a caring, like that. So whatever the reflections come from outside world, child start thinking, this is me, this is my identification. So identification given by others is called ego. Ego is whatever it says, this is bad or good, it hardly matters. Ego is ego. Now the main important part is, now child has a false identification. When child born with true self, the soul, whatever the originality of the child is soul, that born with the soul. But child, because of the outside world, could not concentrate on himself. So child is forget about the main source of center, and child start thinking that whatever I am is whatever the outside think about me. So somehow whatever the personality of a man is, that is from the outside. This is a false identity. It's a not true identity of self. It's a false identity of self. This is not a real. So whatever identities every human being has is a false identity, not a true identity. And everybody, that's why, is in a misery, because whatever the false, it will show you the false. It cannot give you the true picture. And we are looking, always search for a something true, blissful state, and blissful state cannot be achieved by the false self, because ego is a false self. A false self cannot give you a blissful state. So that's why the cause of all the miseries, hundreds of thousands of miseries in the world, is the false identity, that is ego. Now, how can we remove the ego? This is very, very hard, because this ego is deeply rooted in our centers, that is false center, and we don't know nothing about our true self. And whatever the education we got from the school, college, universities, everybody teaching us to get the more attention or get the more identities from the outside knowledge. So our true self is totally hidden under the false identity. It's very hard. So ego is something that everybody wants attention. For example, ego has a multiple dimensions. It's very complex to understand in every aspect of human life. It has different complexity. I can give only maybe 2-3 examples. Basically, ego is a necessity to make society too, because without ego, without identities, nobody can survive in this world. All the society is made of ego. No families, no clubs, no culture, no world, no religion can be made without ego. Without identities, how you can survive in this world? This is me, this is my name, this is my education. So the society, the ego is given by the society, and ego is must, and one has to pass through it. It is a discipline. The real can be known only through illusion. You cannot get the blissful state without passing through this world. You have to live in this world, you have to experience this world, and then you have to realize the miseries of this world. And then when your everything, all the ego gets shattered, oh my god, my life is this, my life is this, then you try to explore the true self. That's how the life begins. But first of all, you have to go through the egoic world. You cannot leave this world that okay, I am going to find myself, my true self, I am going to leave this world. No, this is mistake. This is another kind of ego. So society, every society gives the rating to the ego. Ego is a relative, like a scale of -10 to 10. If a ego, let us say a criminal does the murder, so society does not accept that as a good ego. Society put that criminal in a jail, Why? Because that society does not approve that actions, does not give attention to that murderer. When there is no attention to the murder, that means the ego of the murderer gets hurt. This is -10 rating. And the same place, when two countries fight, the soldier for the country does so many murders, and that is approved by the society, and that approval, that attention makes him hero, and that identity of be a hero is +10 ego. So ego is a relative according to the society, that what rating society gives. Same thing in the family. Ego is survive in the family, small groups. It depends what kind of situation you have. Sometime, let us say, a mother does a marriage of his son. After marriage, the son start living separately from the mother, and because of the married life, the son stop giving attention to his mother. Now the mother is living with other family members, because mother always loves her son, but due to lack of attention from the son, mother gets hurt, her ego gets hurt, and she start feeling low, demoralized. Why? Because whole life the mother get attention from the sons. That's, you are my mother, you are my mother. So mother start living in a stress. Now what happened is, one day when mother start crying, whenever the mother start crying that okay, my son is not here with me, I don't know how he is living, so all other family members start giving attention to her. So she is crying and all the family members giving attention to her. That attention is an ego too, because she is getting attention. So that attention makes her feel better, and every time she crying, she get attention. So sometimes the woman takes the attention like that. Same thing, I remember one case. I was in a temple, and one singer was praying. He wrote a song in a praise of a god, and he was singing that the lines was, I am a dog, hey God, I am a dog on your doorstep. He was singing, and I liked that song, so beautiful. After the ceremony ended, I asked him that the lines you wrote is so good, it's so humble, that I am a dog on your doorstep. God, I am on your dog on your doorstep. So I told him that, you know what, I like so much these lines, I already wrote on my paper, and whenever I get chance, I will sing that lines. And right away he got mad with me so furiously that, oh no, this is my lines, how you can copy it, this is my lines, nobody can sing it. So he got so mad that his ego got hurt, that these are my lines, that I am the dog, I am the servant on your doorstep, God. Even if this is the problem, this is a subtle ego. And somebody say, you know what, I don't have any ego, I drop all my egos, I am very humble, I am very humble, I am very simple man. This is a very subtle ego too, because this is another way of getting attention. Because dropping the ego, that I drop ego, is another kind of idea of getting attention. The idea of getting attention is an ego. You have to understand very carefully. We will discuss more about ego in a next lecture. Stay tuned with me.